Welcome back to Industry Conversation. My guest today is PR veteran, the lead partner, CMC Connect LLP, Mr. YOMI BADEJO OKUSANYA, YBO. Glad to have you join us on the program.
Thank you, Buki. Thank you for having me.
All right, great. So let's begin with your agency's feat at the last La Priga. Now, your agency was awarded Model Agency of all time. Now, how does that make you feel, and what does this mean or signify for the agency?
First and foremost, we don't describe ourselves as an agency. An agency is an organization that carries one thing from one place to another, and doesn't add that much value to it. So that's why you call a post office an agency, because when you give a post office a letter, they'll deliver it for you without imputing in the content of the letter. So we'd rather describe ourselves as a consulting firm along the lines of KPMG, PEC, PwC, and so on and so forth. So our full name is actually CMC Connect LLP, Perception Consulting.
Perception Consulting. Okay, so, that is what
now,
wanted.
I think why we were chosen as the model agency of the year is that we've been here for 32 years. This is our 33rd year of operations. And we have remained relevant in the business. And how have we been able to do that? By renovating, or by innovating, let me use the word. Every time we keep on innovating, we keep on making sure that we are cutting edge. What does the market want? What does the market require? And then we adapt ourselves to suit it. The latest one is what we call the LLP, like you said. We shifted from a limited liability company to a limited liability partnership. And how does that work? We believe that there's a lot of talent that is latent that we probably cannot capture in a 9-to-5 business. So let me give an example, very good example. Somebody like your publisher, John Ajayi, who I've known for over 30 years also, and he can be a consultant with us. Why? Because he's got latent talent. All his talent right now is concentrated in building his business, but he has talent that we can use, but we cannot definitely pay for, and that's what we do. So we bring partners on board from across board, especially in the areas of specialty. So are we talking about technology public relations, healthcare public relations, environment public relations, entertainment public relations, and so on and so forth. So those are the ones that we bring to the table. So I think that model, and how did we arrive at that? We felt that the world is coming together. So you have Mobil joining with Exxon, or Total joining with Elfina. So how come we should be building silos? The future of the profession that I see will be what I call mergers, acquisitions, and partnerships. And that's where we started. And I think that is what earned us that award as a model agency.
Awesome. I can say that was a well-deserving award.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the Nigerian public relations as a sector. Now, in light of the economic challenges that prevailed in the year 2023, what would be your evaluation of the industry as it stands now?
Well, I think the same challenge we've had over the years is what we've been carrying forward. And that is the appreciation of the value that public relations brings to the table. Unfortunately, we haven't done a good job in defining who we are, what we contribute to the table. I think that part of the vagueness also emanates from when we say what is the definition of public relations. And there are as many definitions of public relations as there are practitioners. And some of them you find they are almost like textbooks. They are long paragraphs, they are windy and so unwieldy. So if we can't even tell people concise and in a succinct manner who we are, how can we then tell what we bring to the table? So it's not strange that many mistake us for journalists, mistake us for media, some people call us protocol people. Some say that we are professional bribe givers and bribe takers. Some say that we are protocol, or, we are looking for somewhere to talk someone in, and as long as she's pretty, no offense meant to the women folk, you feel that the best place you can throw her is in the public relations department. No, public relations is a strategic management tool that establishes trust, that sustains the trust, and in some cases rebuilds that trust for comparative reputation advantage. And you will agree with me that every organization needs trust. Trust is the license you require to operate as an organization. Without trust, you cannot operate. Would you go to a hospital you don't trust? Would you go to a police station you don't trust? What is the problem that the government at various levels have? It's trust. You are here speaking to me because you trust that I will contribute to the value of your program. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. I am speaking to you because I trust your program. If I felt that your program was dodgy in any way, I wouldn't be speaking to you. So for me, 2023 was the same thing. And what we need to do as public relations practitioners, as an industry as a whole, is to promote, to enlighten, and to fight for the value that public relations brings to the table.
Awesome, that was what said. So aside the issue of identity and, defining the purpose and, identifying the purpose of the industry, are there other challenges mitigating against, the progress of the industry? And how would you say professionals in the industry are combating or, resolving these challenges?
Okay, some of the problems, I'll give you a few of the problems. One, people are eating our lunch. They start eating our breakfast, then they're eating our lunch, and now they're eating our dinner.
Wow.
How does that work? So look at public relations like a pie, like a pizza, whole pizza. And some guys came one day and said, look, we're event managers, we're not public relations practitioners. And then they take a piece of our pie away. Then some other guys came and said, oh, guess what? We are digital. We are not public relations people. And they've taken a bit of our pie. Now, the most recent set of people are those who call themselves influencers. And they also have come for a piece of our pie. Now, the truth be told, each of those functions are tools of public relations. Now, it's like when you then make any of those functions and you replace them with or you replace public relations with them, it's like the tail wagging the dog. In the sense that, take it like this, you go to a mechanic and you say, my car is faulty, and then uses a diagnostic tool. The diagnostic tool is what tells you overall what is wrong with the car. And then you begin to change the parts. Maybe it's a fuel injector, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Now, what those people are doing is that they are replacing the fuel injector with the diagnostic tool. I don't know if I make sense.
You do. You do.
The diagnostic, the fuel injector is just a part. So public relations is is a strategic management discipline. Strategic, which means that it's well planned, it's deliberate, it is intentional, it's not accidental. The down part of it is the tactical, which a lot of people, so you find a situation nowadays where somebody is using an influencer and then it comes to you as a public relations practitioner and it says, oh, I'm going to pay you, in 60 days, I'll pay you in 90 days. But the influencer, you must, even before the influencer does anything, before he or she writes, pay him in full. Where is the value in that? Where is the equity in that? Now, what that person is doing is, like I explained before, a slice of the pizza. It is the sum of the part makes the whole. So to get a holistic picture, you need the parts in place. So that's one. Two, the value, people not recognition. I've told you that we have an identity crisis. My mantra is that public relations needs public relations. The first requirement of public relations is public relations. As a matter of fact, you've got to say to physician, heal thyself. Now, everything else then flows from that. What are the other things that flow from that? The fact that we are not, because people don't place the right value on you, then they don't give you the proper remuneration. Sometimes when budgets are being crafted, they would have dealt with every other thing before they now call the public, oh, well, we have a PR person, or we have a strategic communication. You know what? Manage this small amount of money. And it doesn't work like that. It is once the plan is in place, the public relations person must sit at that table to be able, he's part of what is being constructed. He's part of what is being discussed. His advice is from the very beginning. So those are some of the challenges. And then because of that, we find out that sometimes we don't play with our A-list. So people want to be what? They want to be accountants. They want to be engineers. They want to be lawyers. They want to be, whatever, medicine and so on and so forth. Because people come into the business and they think, if it's not going to remunerate me well, why should I be here? So we find a situation whereby talent, there's a dearth of talent also. Either people come in bright-eyed when they see what's going on, then they leave. Or they don't even come at all. So the challenge we have for public relations, the big issue cascades. Yoruba have a saying, ti alabagbeni shole, kekere at gorie. So that big one has made us as public relations practitioners prostrate. Let me translate for those who don't speak the lingo. If a big problem lands you on the floor, then the smaller ones have the opportunity to trample over you. So that's exactly the challenge, or those are some of the challenges we have in public relations. And they became prevalent. So what is the challenge? 2023, where the immediate problem or the immediate action to any cut in budget, the first place any organization goes is the PR budget.
Well said. So now, what do you think that our practitioners need to take away from this period, in line of, the technological evolution and shifts that comes in? What are the learnings they need to understand from this period and, to realign with the realities of the situation on ground?
Innovate to survive.
Innovate to survive.
And what are the two key ingredients of innovation? Technology and data. Technology and data. When we talk about technology, the advancements in technology, use of AI, and so on and so forth, can help our business much more. What is the kernel of our business is, for me, storytelling. And that's why at CMC we said PR is the art of telling compelling stories. That's the kernel of this business. But for you to be able to tell a good story, you need data. So there has to be an increment, or there has to be, increment, there has to be increase in the use of data in arriving at solutions. As a public relations practitioner, who are you? You're a solution provider. Public relations is the only profession that you're allowed to be a jack of all trade, a master of all. No other profession allows you. You must be a jack of all trades and master of all. So today, I'm talking healthcare. Tomorrow, I'm talking environment. The day after tomorrow, I'm talking public affairs. The day after tomorrow, I'm talking entertainment. And I must know enough about everything to be able to contribute significantly. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no space for specialization. There is. And when you ask me the future of public relations, I will give you what my own panacea for the future of public relations is. But we must run this business on data. We must run this profession on data. Like I say, numbers don't lie. You can manipulate numbers. Numbers don't lie, actually. The only thing is that you can manipulate the numbers to lie. No, in fact, you can manipulate the numbers. It's your manipulation that is lying, not the numbers. If we count the number of people who are in this room, they are the same number of people wherever you go in the world. But somebody can then start saying to you about this, about that, about that. Numbers don't lie. So one, we must be data-driven. We must be more data-driven. We must be more analytical. We must do more research. We must spend more money on research. Number two, we must then also engage technology, because technology cuts expenses by half. There are many things that you can do now that you couldn't do many years ago or that we are not open to. Simple, for instance, COVID told us that we can actually run a business without necessarily being there.
Yes.
We don't come to the office every day. Now, there are days we work remotely. And because COVID allows us to do that. Technology, I beg your pardon, allows us. And that's just, the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole lot more that can happen in that space.
Okay. Great. So let's talk about trends. I know that there were a couple of emerging trends last year. Now, what are some of the emerging trends and innovations in the PR sector that professionals can incorporate in order to, be successful more in the year 2024?
I think I've mentioned a few. Technology, use of technology. There's an increased use of technology, especially when it comes to AI, artificial intelligence. In fact, there's fear that some people think that AI will take the work of public relations practitioners. I said to you, it's about telling a compelling story. And so a lot of those stories can be assisted with artificial intelligence. So people ask, why do I have all of these people here when you can use AI to do the work? Again, I go back to data. Data, because data shows us emerging trends. The wants of consumers change with the wind. So in the morning, this is what it is. And a lot of the markets we are targeting are youth-driven. Now, not Gen Z, and now they're having Gen what again?
I think it's
Gen Alpha. You understand me? So, and their wants are different. So I have a 25-year-old son, and he's not even, I'm not sure he's in Gen, he's a Gen Z, he's not Gen Alpha. So we need to listen more to the consumers. And we must see ourselves more like solution providers. And the way we use to see public relations has changed. There's algorithms. We must pay more attention to the consumer and to what they want, their changing needs. We must pay more attention to. So if you ask me, I believe those are the biggest trends. Media, of course. Media is changing all over the place, and that has been, it's the continuous evolution of media is causing us, we must be on our toes. So let me tell you, when I started this work, if a crisis broke out, I have 24 hours to kill it, or to manage it, not kill it. There's no word.
I think you have that word
Yeah, in those days, so what I could do was, in those days, what I could do would be, oh, something broke out at 10 this morning. By that afternoon, I've been around all the media houses and I've said to them that, look, this is my side of the story, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, either in those days, we don't want bad or negative news about our clients. And if you're going to publish it at all, then publish our own side of the story. Now, I could just be sitting here. Who knows what client is undergoing
crisis.
A crisis.
And you just have to resolve it.
Yeah, so the dynamics are changing. They are constantly changing. There's so much fluidity, even in the media space, that you have to devise ways. So now when you're doing crisis, there's an aspect of our business which is called crisis communication, out of crisis management. You don't do crisis for print media anymore because it really doesn't work. News breaks and it breaks simultaneously. And then in those days, we had what you call the gatekeepers, who are the editors. So when you go to the editors, you say, this is my side of the story. When the story is brought to him, he says, okay, let's do a balanced view. No, everybody now is a journalist.
That brings me to my next question, which is social media. Now, how much has social media influenced the PR practice in Nigeria or all over the world?
It's revolutionized it, generally all over the world. Same thing I'm talking about. When if we say that public relations is about establishing trust, sustaining trust, and in some cases rebuilding the trust, it means that you have some level of intervention in how that happens. So somebody comes and says, this product is bad, or something happened to this product, blah, 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 blah. There's a way. But now it's coming to you from all sides. If there's defamation, there's somewhere I can address. Now, who do you address? It's all over the place. So definitely, one of the biggest influences on where public relations is globally is social media.
Great. Okay, so let's talk about the continent, PR, and the continent worldwide. Now, as a former president of the African Public Relations Association, now what are some of the problems or challenges you have identified that cut across the continent or the world in the PR sector?
Largely, the first one I'll talk about is the recognition of public relations. We're all in the same.
It's
you see, in advanced, quote unquote, advanced democracy, one, you have a higher level of literacy, and two, you have a higher level of bad practices, good or bad practices influencing. Let me take something like governance. Although Trump is repudiating that. So you find that in sometimes somebody in government does something, or somebody in the position in an office does something, and he's forced to face the consequences of what he does or what he doesn't do. Here, it doesn't matter. Here, you can be as bad as what it can be, and you still be in government. It doesn't touch you. You still be given a national award. You still be recognized, and so on and so forth. So across Africa, we still have this opaqueness about public relations. The level of freedom of information is a challenge in many countries. We see what is happening in African countries. Either they're under military or they're under dictatorships dressed as democracies. So people are not allowed. Do you know that there are still in some countries in Africa, they don't have public relations associations because the government
did not
allow them. Because anything that would make people express themselves and they think that it's against the government or it will not suit the government, then they do not support. So biggest problem is that across Africa, public relations is still not fully recognized. And that even emanates from the top. a body like APRA, how much contribution is it making to the African Union, despite all the efforts we're making? The African Union largely remains an organization for the heads of the heads of government in Nigeria, in Africa, I beg your pardon. When you talk about the European Union, the common man on the street feels the impact of the European Union. And we all know about what happened during Brexit and all of that. Has African Union touched the common man on the street? And it's because the African Union, as an umbrella body, has not embraced communication the way it ought to be. AU itself has a 50-year agenda which they started in 2013, which is supposed to run to 2015. How much progress have they made? Is it for heads of government to just go and have a jamboree in Addis every beginning of the year, and then middle of the year, they go to another country? How have the resolutions of the African Union impacted on the common man on the African continent? The only way they can make that happen is through strategic communications, is through public relations, and they're not doing that.
Okay, great. So what would you suggest, or what would you say APRA is doing to, resolve all of those challenges as a whole?
Well, we've made overtures to the African Union, several overtures. I know that while I was in office, both as Secretary General, as President, visited Addis Ababa numerous times. And the process of influencing things at the African Union level is quite laborious. You have to go from one state to the other, ECOSOC, blah, 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 blah. So what we find out is that when we've advanced to a certain level, then another chairman of the OAU comes in, and then we have to start all over again from the beginning. Then we go again, we have to start all over again. There seems not to be continuity in, or maybe they're seeing something we don't see, in the sense that they know the limitations of the organization and probably what we're putting on the table, they cannot deliver.
Okay, so let's talk about billings, obtaining billings for the peer investment in Nigeria. I know you once lamented about, obtaining billings figure for the peer investment. Now, has that changed? Has that been sorted?
Not at all. Around Africa, not just for the public relations profession, billings, data is not so. The advertising sector, they're able to probably give you an idea, because organizations will say, oh, this is how much we spent, and so on and so forth. Even that, I'm not sure is accurate. And then they probably have a body called Advan, so they can aggregate. We still don't have that. Yes, I know the NIPR. Don't forget that the NIPR is for all public relations practitioners. So whether you're in consulting, or you're in-house, or you're in government, you need to do that. It's not an excuse. We should find a way of accessing data so we have an idea of the kind of billings we're dealing with. It is very essential. We cannot plan without data. So yes, we still have that problem.
Okay, great. So at this stage in the history of the country, Nigeria, now, how would you describe Nigeria's growth in reputation management, and what are professionals doing to boost this positively?
Nigeria's role in professional, again, we are winning that battle gradually. I'm glad to let you know that we have a new president, Dr. Iken Eliaku, who was sworn in, or who came into office in August, and I know that he's very passionate about this. One of the first things to sanitize the industry is to get rid of those who are, quote unquote, we call them quacks. Those are people who are not licensed to operate. Let me remind you that by reason of Decree 16, I believe, of June 1990, which has now become an act of the National Assembly. It is unlawful for you to practice public relations under whatever nomenclature. Call yourself corporate affairs person, call yourself public affairs, call yourself strategic, any form of public relations, under whatever nomenclature. It's an offense for you to practice without being licensed by the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. So we have a situation whereby across the country, even public organizations, government organizations appoint people into office of public relations practitioners without certifying them. That's absolutely wrong. Whether you like the law, whether you favor it or you do not favor, it is the law. And until it's changed, it stands. It's like you saying that, you know, in some other countries, it's not illegal to marry people of the same sex. In Nigeria, it is illegal. Your personal views in the face of that law
does not count.
Does not stand. You can't go to court and say, I feel it's right for men to marry men. The law says no. Yeah. So you've got to follow the law. And that's what we are not doing here in Nigeria. Now, what are we doing about it? The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, under the leadership of Dr. Ike Neliako, has said, given a timeline, I believe it's this March, it was supposed to have been at the end of December. Many people pleaded for an extension, which has now been given to the end of March. And that if you are found practicing public relations without registering with the Institute, you will be sanctioned.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, so let's talk about the future of PR. I know you mentioned something about it briefly the other time. Now, we see a lot of emergence with technology, trends, social media. Now, with all of these disruptions and evolution, what do you foresee as the future of Nigerian PR?
Well, I think the new breed of practitioners who will succeed us, and they are not bound by the walls that we may have created for ourselves. And there are quite a number of them. Coincidentally, a lot of them are women. The likes of Tolu Olorundero, the likes of Bidemi Zakari, Ronke Bamishedun, and I can go on and on and on. These people have they have a contemporary view of the profession, and they are not bound by some of the rules and some of the norms that they're not caged by some of the walls we have built around us or we respect. So what's the future? The future is that these people, they are more savvy when it comes to technology. They are more data-driven. They are more liberal in their thinking and in their approach. So they wouldn't dress the way I will dress. They may not have an office. They may not have staff or pay on staff as they probably take people on as they require. So what you ask me will be the future? For me, the future will be what I call specialization. Specialization and then mergers and acquisition. Now, what specialization? So I had an outing with one of my former staff who does some work in an area, and she's so focused on the area she's on and not a generalist like I would practice. She said, look, I'm focused on this area and that's where I'm going to be. So you're going to find that there will be a lot of specializations. Specialization, I beg your pardon. Somebody is going to tell you, I'm a digital PR person. I'm a technology PR person. I'm an education PR person. I'm an entertainment PR person. I've never met her. I understand that there's a lady who handles Burna Boy. I don't know, Bookie or something, But yeah, and I'm sure she's doing very well. She doesn't come into your space to come and contest briefs from Coca-Cola or whatever, that I know. But she's, owning that space. So that's that. Now, in my own opinion, for you to now build a general business, you're going to have to partner along the lines of consulting firms, which is, so Buki can be a specialist in education PR, and Faidat a specialist in entertainment PR, and Oiza a specialist in whatever. Health care. That's right. So in order for us to build this huge firm along the lines of what we see in the Western world, we would have to all come together. That's why the likes of KPMG have survived. PwC have survived. Deloitte and Co. Ernst and Young, I beg your pardon. Ernst and Young. That's how they've survived. So I see that future. It's exciting, but at the same time, it's scary.
Exciting and scary. Okay, so earlier you mentioned the Gen Zs. You mentioned the Gen Alpha. Now, so I wanted to ask, how can government and brands, what do they have to do in monitoring the new variants of populism amongst the youth, especially in Nigeria?
I'm not even sure the word is monitoring. Monitoring looks like a government, government trying to inhibit you.
Okay.
All government needs to do is to understand them, and then drive them to their strengths. There's another lady I was speaking to on Sunday after church, and she was telling me about what does she do. She was telling me about what she does. Oshedudu.
Black soap.
And she's experimenting. She says there are no additives, there are no this, there are none. She's thinking of an innovation whereby right now it's in the solid form, in a container, but she wants to have it in liquid form.
Like a shower gel.
It's like shower gels. So brands like that are going to need promotion. Brands like that are going to need advancement. So far, many people are doing this thing by themselves. I'm sure probably she has a website. She probably designed her website. She's probably populating her website because she can't afford it. So what government should do is give them, not monitor them, give them an enabling environment to prosper. Small and medium scale enterprises is still the backbone of any economy. Right now, where can they get it? There's no access to credit. There's no power as we speak. As you know, you can hear the generator. Diesel right now is at 1,300 or 1,500 per liter. There's no economy that can thrive. When we say things like we have 200 and something people, you can even have 1 million people. You can have 200 and something million people. You can have 1 billion people. If there's no purchasing power, it's equal to zero. How many of us can afford brand new cars? So government should just create the enabling environment. What is the enabling environment? Support credit systems. Yes, some people will default, but the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages. The credit card that you hold, if you have an international credit card, is subject to fraud. Somebody can just pick up your PIN. I have a credit card, international credit card, and it has been used where I used it somewhere, I don't know what happened, and somebody used it. They were the ones who informed me and said, oh, guess what? We found out that your card has been used in so country. It's not likely because the last time you used it, you were in a country. How come you've moved? They were the ones who alerted me that there was a fraud on my... And you know what they did? They refunded me and they blocked the card until I applied for a new one. So would they lose money? Yes. But the advantage that a credit card carries far outweighs them going back and canceling all credit cards. So at the beginning of the year, when they do their budget, they have already made provision that a certain amount will be lost to fraud. but is covered by the advancement. So government shouldn't monitor, just support with an enabling environment.
Okay, great. So talking about an enabling environment, the industry approached the year 2024 with a lot of optimism. So what would be your projection for the industry, say the first quarter? I know that we're in March already. What would be your projection for the first quarter of the year?
It's been very turbulent because nobody can plan anything. Even the federal budget has been thrown away out of projection, let me use the word. So it's been very difficult. The only thing that I would say to anybody, and I say it here, let's manage to keep our heads above water. Because if you sink and you drown and you land at the bottom of the sea, when things get better, it will take you all a long while to resurface. But just make sure that you keep your head above water so that as the time when things getting better, because things will get better. Like they say, tough times don't last. It's only tough people who do. So things will definitely get better. So just manage your business in such a way that you are there when things get better. And you are one of the first set of people that can benefit from the fallout.
Okay, great. So I know you mentioned at the beginning of this interview that your firm is not an agency. But I wanted to ask that there have been a lot of predictions about the rise in in-house agency. Now, what is your view about that? Do you think that it is a legitimate or a rational business consideration at all?
Well, I'm sure the people who do will show you the numbers. They'll show you the numbers, and one of the things they will say to you is that, let me put it like this to you. If they find talent in a consulting firm, we are not able to pay the kind of money that they pay. Let me give you, for instance, in the banks or in the fintechs. Now, they pull that person out of the consulting firm or the agency, as you've called it. That person has been trained. That person is versatile. The foundation is sure. That person, because of the shortages of because of the challenges we face in private practice, can turn out a document in a few hours. It's like when you go to a public hospital and you go to a private hospital, you find out that the public hospitals, they work faster, quote and unquote. And I explain to you why. Because they have to see 100 patients a day. It's just that in their working faster, they lack empathy, their bedside manner are not, it's not so good. But, because, hey, they got it's my operation day, I'm operating 10 people, so I've got to do it. Immediately I'm cutting somebody, sewing somebody up, they're pushing the person and that person is coming in and so on. But in a private hospital, they can afford to give you that care. But what do you get in a public hospital? You get consultants, you get what they call them, residents, you get, for one patient, there can be 5 people looking after that person. Okay. So, in-house, they've got the money that they can pull away from us. And they think that why share this resource with A, B, C, D when I can have the resource to myself? And usually, when you bring the person in, it's times 10, times 8, times 15, maybe times 20 of what he's earning, where it's coming from. So there's also, what has also lent credence to it is the advent of social media, because a lot of work is done by social media. One, you don't want to divulge many of the things you're doing to your, what you call your agency. You feel safer if the person is your staff, so you can have the, and then the turnaround time is faster. So you call what you call an agency, and they will then say, oh, hello, how are you? Okay, we'll get back to you. We're quickly finishing something. But if that person is your direct staff, you say, look, whatever, why are you working? I'm doing this. You say, drop that, do this. Yes. That doesn't mean I'm advocating for it. No. Okay. The biggest service of public relations is advisory. And you find out that you're unable to speak truth to power if you are within the organization. A lot of times we have high profile clients, or I know people that I can look at them, eyeball them, governors, ministers, and I can say, bros, or that thing you're doing is wrong. That thing you're doing is completely wrong. I still sent something to someone this morning, a highly placed government official. Said, that's unacceptable. That thing you did or heard is unacceptable. And I hope you're doing something about it. Now, an in-house person is unable to do that. The best is a combination of external and internal. It's just like in law, no matter how big your legal department is, you can't represent yourself. You can't represent your organization in the court. You still have to get an external solicitor.
Okay, great. So let's talk about ACAN. I know that recently, maybe sometime last year, ACAN, is working to reposition the industry such that, it brings, to evaluate the worth of the country's advertising market. Now, what is your view about these move by ACAN?
Again, if it's true, and that's what government use one word called sanitize, and I caution, because if we're in a liberal economy, you should just regulate. So as long as what they're doing is regulation, it's fine. It's fine. Coincidentally, I was just exchanging texts with Lekon Father Lapo, just this morning, just before we started this. I think there should be regulation. I think my only word of caution is that regulation should not stifle creativity. I think there must be a fine balance between regulation and creativity. It's a creative industry. When I joined the industry, and coincidentally I joined with advertising, I joined from advertising, you could not go to work without a tie and a jacket. When we started, in the room, I think 3 of us used to share a jacket. We just had one jacket that we had in the office. No matter what you're wearing, you just pick it up, you slam it on, and you walk. When are you coming back? I say, I'm coming back at 1 quickly because I have a meeting at 2. And we pick up the same jacket and we wear. Because how many of us could really afford jackets? It was, maybe a blazer kind of material or something like that. Now, if you tell somebody that you must wear a tie to work, they probably resign.
I'm sure the EATS won't even allow.
Yeah. So as long as it's being regulated, I don't have a problem. But the regulation should not stifle creativity.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so let's talk about the NPR week that is forthcoming. I know that you are the chair for that committee.
That's right.
Tell us more about this event.
Okay. The April 22nd to 26th, 2024, we will hold the inaugural edition of the Nigeria Public Relations Week, which in Abeokuta is at the June 12 Cultural Center, Abeokuta, Ogun State. Our host government will be, of course, Ogun State, and we're expecting the governor to declare it open. And I'm happy to announce here, this is the first time we're announcing it, that the Central Bank governor will be with us at that time. Now, what are we doing? We're going to bring together we're going to talk about economy. And every one of us, when we talk now, it's economy we talk about. Now, I believe that public relations is like an injection. When it's in a small bottle called a vial, it's not potent. You can't drink it. When you stick the syringe into it, the needle through this, and you pull it out into the syringe, it's still not potent. When is it potent? It is when it is applied. Either on your arm, your bum, your thigh, anywhere that it is applied, even on your stomach. So, our public relations must be applied. And it must be seen as a solution to national issues and national challenges. Right now, the biggest challenge we have is that of the economy. Now, let's build a correlation between reputation and economy. Anywhere you see a strong economy, check it out. The reputation is right. Check it. Check it. I'm yet to see one country that has a strong economy and the reputation is poor. Check it. There's a direct correlation. So what are we saying? We're bringing people who are in charge of our economy. We're looking at the Minister of Finance and the coordinating Minister of the Economy, bringing him, bringing the central bank governor, the special advisor to the president on policy, Ms. Adiza Bala Usman. These are decision makers. And we're bringing them into a room where we ourselves will be speaking and engaging with them. In the past, as public relations practitioners, we speak to ourselves in a room. And then we have what we call professional constipation. Because we are speaking to ourselves. It's just going around in our system. Now let's express it to people and say, look, we can work it together. We can work at this thing together. Let's come together. So now, what is this? We're expecting over 2,000 delegates from across the country and even outside the country. We're having over 25 sessions. Over 25 sessions over the days of the conference, dealing with various aspects of public relations, talking about entertainment. Look at it now. UMG just bought into Maven Records. Funke Akindele just grossed 1.5. Where is public relations?
Okay, great. So
the whole essence of it is for us to be able to sell to our critical stakeholders the value of public relations as a strategic management tool or discipline. So what that means is that whichever sector of the economy you are, destination marketing, the business of public relations consulting, blue ocean economy, digital, every one of them needs strategic communications, public relations to enhance their growth and their sustainability. So we're going to be together in the room. The focal objective of the Nigerian Public Relations Abekta 2024 is to bring to sell the value of public relations.
To sell the value of public relations. Okay, great. So just tell us briefly, what informed this initiative by the NIPR?
Again, against the background of what you said, public relations needs public relations. Guess what? We do it for our clients. A client will come and give us a brief. Public relations, there's what you call I think it's the transfer or communication process, where you move from obscurity to awareness. I can't remember, it's been so long. But, you move. So I told you that there's a lot of ambiguity concerning our profession. And it's high time that we beam the searchlight of what we do on ourselves. Physician, let us heal ourselves. Let us explain, let us express to people the value that we bring to the table. Why? What would that earn us? Increased respect, increased participation, and of course, increased remuneration.
Okay, great. So you mentioned some of the big weeks that we're expecting at the event.
Sorry, let me also not forget the minister, our own Minister of Information and Strategy, Alhaji Idris Mohammed Malagi, who is a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, and he will be our chief host.
Oh, great. So I wanted to ask that what are the other plans aside the big weeks that we're expecting to see at the event? What are some of the other plans that are on the way, the other plans for the success of this event?
A lot of has gone in. We're working very hard. We're working assiduously, to host 2,000 people. It's not a small thing. So we've broken up into subcommittees, which are headed or manned by various very capable practitioners, senior practitioners. And in various aspects, we have the marketing subcommittee, we have the public relations and stakeholders subcommittee, we have the training and faculty committee, then we have the events and logistics. We have accredited over 30-something hotels in Abeokuta who have all given us discounts so people can come in. And we have a security work group. That security work group is headed by the First Public Relations Officer, Mr. Muyiwa Adejobi. He's leading that team. We want Abeokuta to be an experience for anybody that is coming. And I hope that marketing, anyway, you are already supporting us. You are one of our partners. So I hope your crew will be there. We are inviting people to come to Abeokuta. You can arrive by road or you can arrive by train. We're also asking people, especially from other parts of the country, to come and experience the rail travel from Lagos to Abeokuta. Like I said, then we're going to have a lot of evening social events, and one of the ones that excite me the most is what I call Adire on the Runway. Adire on Runway. It's Adire Couture and the endless possibility that it offers.
Wow. That
shows you that Adire can be in any form. You can use it. In fact, I'm hoping that on that day, we'll see an Adire wedding dress. You understand? So it can be anything. It can be anything. And I am glad, again, to announce on this platform that only this morning, Her Excellency, the wife of the governor of Ogun State, Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun, has accepted to be the special guest of honor at the Adire on Runway. Let us take our own Adire. Let's put it on the international runway. The advisor to that particular event will be the past president of Fashion Designers Association of Nigeria, Mrs. Fumi Ajila Ladipo. She also accepted to be the advisor for that evening. So what are we doing? We're putting our best foot forward. On another day, we're going to see the tourist sites in Abeokuta. So we're going to Olumo Rock.
Wow.
We're going to the house of Ramson Kuti. We're going to Obasanjo Library. We're going to the Adire market in Itoku to see how Adire itself is being made.
I can only imagine the experience. I can't wait to get into the experience with you. So tell us, how would you describe the response of stakeholders to this initiative?
Warm, very heartwarming. I just told you the central bank governor, I got word while we were sitting and we're preparing for this, that the central bank governor has confirmed that he will, he will take the keynote address. My older brother, Mr. Wale Edu, I know he hasn't given me his formal response, but I'm sure he will give me this formal response. And I've told you about the other people, the governor of Ogun State and the government of Ogun State. They are looking forward to receiving us. Part of what we're going to also have is we're going to have something with the traditional rulers, whereby we will have an interactive session on how they can use public relations to enhance relevance in their various domains in contemporary Nigeria. So the stakeholders, the acceptance has been very encouraging. Let me start with Marketing Edge. John Ajayi called me and said to me, YBO, we're on board. I can tell you that we already have on board as broadcast partners, Channels Television. Oh. We have Arise TV. We have AIT, the Dark Communications Group. We're speaking with NTA as we speak. And I'm sure we can also count in on TVC, amongst many other broadcast partners. Just again, as I was speaking to you, there's a call, the last one I took. Some outdoor company is offering us outdoor sites to put our materials. Another outdoor company has given us sites at the Muritala Mohammed Airport, what you call MMA2. So, exciting. Exciting time to be a public relations practitioner.
It sounds
very exciting.
It sounds.
Are you a member?
No, I am not.
Shouldn't you be joining?
I would consider that.
I think you should be joining.
I would consider
it's
that.
It's the way to
go. Okay, so let me just, as we bring this down, let us talk about CMC Connect, LLP, the perception managers. Did I get that correct?
Perception consulting. We used to be perception managers, but now we're perception consulting. We'd rather see ourselves as a consulting business.
Okay, so tell us, what was CMC's corporate mission and vision at the inception? I know you said that CMC is about 33 years old, right?
Whew, that's a big one. Am I supposed to remember that word for word? I can't give you word for word, but my vision when I had the opportunity to start it was I wanted to make a difference in practice.
Okay.
When my degree is not in mass communication, I didn't study mass communication, but as I was growing up, there was a man who everybody knew then, Alex Akinyele. He was a minister, one-time minister of information and former president of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. And everybody would say to me, you remind me of Aleko, that was his nickname. I didn't know who Aleko was and what. But when I got to know what public relations was, I said to myself, I'd like to pursue it because I think I can make the difference in it. And my sitting here is just an opportunity to express myself for the profession. Nowadays, even when we go for awards and they say, oh, and the winner is CMC, I don't go and receive the award anymore. There are people who work with me that do that, and truly it's their work, because sometimes in a week I may be here only once another. I see myself, my contribution, you asked me about CMC, I see CMC as a vehicle to contribute to the advancement of public relations. Now, are we going to make money in the process? Oh, definitely. Am I going to feed my family in the process? Yes, I must. Am I going to clothe myself? Definitely. But I cannot give you that vision statement or that mission statement, and somebody will shoot me for this. I will say, because I'm a public relations practitioner. But I've seen myself beyond CMC. I've seen myself as some kind of beacon that I can help chart the way for public relations through the things that I do, like being the president of the African Public Relations Association, do it on the continental stage. And what did I want to do with that? I wanted to put Africa into the global stage of public relations. Now they cannot take a decision on public relations globally without speaking to Africa. I wanted to, this is a word, this is a phrase, I wanted to mainstream public relations, African public relations, in African PR in global PR. And I think that has been significantly achieved. So, public relations, CMC Connect, I just want us to continue to be the cutting edge, reinventing ourselves as we go along, so that if you allow me to say this, a company is an organization that, if you are lucky, dies after you are dead. Most companies die before their founders die. An institution is what outlives the founder. I want CMC Connect to be an institution.
Oh, wow. I was going to ask you what the position of CMC was at inception and if that has changed, but obviously,
no.
With this vision of you wanting CMC to be an institution, it just tells us that, it's on a very, very, different level. Okay, so tell us, what are some of the landmark campaigns and client portfolios that CMC has managed?
Quite a number. Also, how many? One of the significant one that I remember, there was a gentleman called Chief Harry Akande. Unfortunately, he passed about 3 or 4 years, 3 years ago. And I remember he was running for president. And he came into the race late. And most presidential candidates, I believe that was 1999, were saying, oh, I am this, I am that, I am this. And in less than 1 week, we needed to let everybody know who this person is. So we started a teaser campaign, Harry Who. And I remember we had over 1 million posters, even on Third Mainland alone. And we were running 5 seconds on national TV. Harry Who? Harry Who? Who is Harry? Everybody's attention moved away from, because while everybody says, oh, I'm this, I'm that, and then we revealed him. So that one for me was significant. I would also talk about the Peugeot. Peugeot's success in Nigeria was tied to the 505s, 504 first. No, even coming all the way back. You probably would never know a brand called 403, 404, but at least you know 504.
Yes, I know.
And you know 505.
Yes, I know.
So now when the new brands of Peugeot came out, they were not as successful because people couldn't relate with them. A 504 can be fixed by your village mechanic, but the new 406, 6, and all of them, they needed diagnostic tools to do that. So what were we able to do? So we were asked, the brief to us was that we should present a contemporary Peugeot brand as different from the 504s. And we looked at 2 contemporary platforms to drive the new brands, the 406, the 307s, and so on and so forth. So we thought about music and fashion. Music and fashion is forever contemporary. So we had what you call every year for 3 days, then for about 4 or 5 years, the Peugeot New Look Fair. And what we're doing with that is that people will come for the music, they'll come for the fashion, and we place the brand alongside. So a lot of artists, you know, some of them are old now, that you heard about in those days, the Two Faces of this world, Lagbaja, Femi Kuti, Daddy Shoki, all those, you know, they performed, they were headlined at that event. And that way, we were able to break into the market with the new brand because people experienced it. Part of when you came for the event, you were allowed to test drive the vehicles and all that, you know. And I'm sure John Ajayi, who I told you he and I have been for a very long time, he attests to some of these campaigns. We launched Virgin Atlantic in Nigeria, working with the Richard Branson team. We've had all kinds of Johnny Walker, just name the brands. We've worked for them. Microsoft, HP, Oracle, just name the brands. We've worked for them before. Transcore, just we share. You know, we've done quite a bit of work with a lot of others.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. So as we ramp up with this interview, our esteemed viewers would like to know who is YBO.
Is YOMI BADEJO OKUSANYA. I'm proudly Ijebu. Proudly Ijebu. All right. If God doesn't mind, if I were to come to this world again, I still want to be an Ijebu boy. Very proudly Ijebu. You know, under the leadership of my king, the Aujale of Ijebu land. So I'm a passionate Arsenal follower. Do you understand? I love public relations. I'm passionate about public relations. I used to ride what you call power bikes. I've stopped, but I'll go back to riding it. So now I drive old cars, vintage cars, cars that are almost 60 years old. What else do I do? I'm an associate pastor in a church. What else do I do? I like pushing the edge. I'm a very passionate person. Once I believe in something, I do it, and I do it with all my passion. I do it with all my strength. But when I don't like it, it's very difficult for me to do it. It's a chore. What else? Who am I? What else?
Tell us about. Oh,
He said I'm a fashionista. I wear only bow ties. I don't have a single tie. Not one single. Probably I have 100 bow ties.
wow.
Not one single tie. So when I wear my outfit, I wear my bow tie, and then even I wear my agbada different from any other person or many other person. My dear friend will, Daily Momodu will say, loud for a purpose. I won't go as far as saying that. But I understand the points of differentiation for comparative advantage. I understand that.
So tell us quickly about your career growth. How have you been able to, grow in this, in your career trajectory? How have you been able to sustain, moving from one sector to another, from one level to another? How was it for you from the beginning till now?
Okay, this company was started in my living room. I used to live in a flat in Ikeja off Toyin Street. The living room was my office during the day, and it was my sitting room at night. And I stayed in the room, and from there, I grew. This was 1992. But the truth be told, one day, the company started, and it's almost as if one were in a trance, and we're here today. I can't tell you. I think the key has always been that every point in time when I knew it was time to reinvent, we did so. When I felt that we were, for the entire 33 years, we have been relevant.
That's great.
Ask anybody, and please ask anybody. If they were to ask you, give us top 5. Maybe not by billings, no, but maybe by reputation and all that. I will tell you that CMC, or let me put it like this, likely for CMC to be among. We were relevant 30-something years ago, and we are still relevant at this time. And it has to do with reinventing. There's a time that something in your blood tells you you need to change gear. Do you drive?
Not yet.
Okay. So, I'm going to use this analogy. When you drive a manual, all right, you don't drive, but you've been driven in a manual car. So the person puts the car in one, and you're done. So the engine, you hear the revs of the engine, woo, then you change to 2. It brings the engine down. Yeah. The sound, reduces. And then you go in 2 again, then it goes for a while. You go to 3, am I right? You know about that driving. All the way until you get to gear 5 or gear 6. And that's a low gear. So at that time, when you're on high speed, the sound of your engine should stay below. So you cannot drive 100 kilometers in gear 1. So by the time you get to 40, you must change to gear 2. Let's just say that we know when to change gear. Or we know when to change gears. If you ask me, what's the secret of our succession or success, quote and unquote, that has been it. Even till yesterday, I was meeting with some of my team, and I said, no, we can't do this anymore. We can't do this. This old fashioned, we need to change it. This is what we need to do now. So you must be sensitive to the sound of your engine. Know when to change gear. Some people don't, and they find themselves, they're trying to drive 100 kilometers in gear 1 or gear 2. Do you know what happened? The engine knocks. You scatter the engine. So mine will be know when to change gear. Always know when to change gear. Something tells you that it's time for you to change gear. Something tells you it's time for you to change gear.
All right, great. It's been a wonderful time, discussing with you. But before I let you go, tell us, what are some of the iconic jingles, that have remained memorable, to you over the years?
Too many. I was born many centuries ago, so I can't even.
Tell us some.
Joy Girl. Joy Girl. Da 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 da. You probably don't know that.
I'm not sure I know that one.
Yes. Fencing makes you well again. I remember there. Then there's another one for this corner, he did there. For that corner, he did there. Let me look at one that is contemporary. Guys, help me out. Let me see. Coca-Cola. No, don't let me. I'll tell you, that will reveal my age, so let me keep quiet. Let me keep quiet. That would reveal. But yeah, I mean, there's been some fun. Oh, Three Orange Men. You people didn't know that.
Wow.
You didn't remember Mirinda.
Oh.
That was fantastic.
Okay, and my last question for today. I know you mentioned something about that earlier in the interview, but I would like that you reiterate it if that is what it is. And that would be, what is your favorite PR mantra?
Simple. I don't have to think about that. PR needs PR.
PR needs
In fact,
PR.
I don't even want to say PR needs PR, because PR can be protocol relations, personal relations, public relations needs public relations.
Public relations
Needs public
public
relations.
relations.
There's something I call affirmative PR. And what does that mean? You must be purposeful. You must be intentional about selling PR. Just the same way that before Virgin, women, now you can't have you can't put a panel together and there are women not there. Because that campaign made sure that there was recognition for women. And I'm going to also use another one. People don't like me using LGBTQ. When I was young, when you say somebody is gay, it means somebody is, sunny, has a sunny personality. But do you know what the LGBTQ has done? They've moved something that was hidden, back burner. By consistency of messaging, they've made it a front burner issue.
That's true.
But the latest one, the slogan which we have created for the Nigeria Public Relations Week is Nigeria, not Nigerian. Nigeria Public Relations Week is boldly public relations.
Boldly.
Boldly public. Why? We are no longer apologetic. We are no longer sorry for who we are or what we bring to the table. We are no longer backroom people. We are bold. We are courageous. We are affirmative. We are intentional. We are deliberate. My favorite Yoruba adage, Ajanoku kọjá mo rí nǹkan fìrí, kábá rẹ́rìn, ká pé a rí ẹran. If you see us, know that we are who we are. That's my message.
It's been absolute informative, entertaining, and it's just been a very interesting time here on the program with you. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Buki. Go and join public relations. Go and join Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. Bring your form to me. I will sign it. I will endorse you. Be a member of the Nigeria. We need people like you.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
I'll definitely consider that.
Thank you.
And that's the much we can take on this week's episode of Marketing Edge on TV. Join us same time next week for another informative episode. I am Oluwa BUKOLA Omani. Bye for now.